Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to dive right into and completely unpack a seriously fascinating piece of esoteric philosophy. We are impartially breaking down the complex and honestly pretty extreme concepts found in a 2011 text by Feng titled Cultivating the Skill of Stillness. Whether you're totally new to these ideas or a hardcore follower of spiritual texts, our goal today is to pull the core principles straight from the source material and make them as clear and understandable as possible. So, let's get right into it.
Now, look at this. What's absolutely wild here is how the text immediately establishes these dramatic life or death stakes. I mean, this isn't framed as just a relaxing weekend activity to help you unwind, right? Stillness is presented as the fundamental law of the universe. According to the source, it's literally the dwelling place of the divine and the origin of life itself. Meanwhile, motion is categorized as the absolute root of all destruction.
So, here is our roadmap from chaos to transcendence. We'll be looking at 1. Stillness versus motion. 2. The strict prerequisites. 3. The 8 methods. 4. Stillness within movement. And finally, the ultimate spiritual goal.
All right, kicking things off with part 1, stillness versus motion.
We really have to start with this foundational binary, because Feng basically divides the entire world into two totally opposing forces. And it is a wildly extreme contrast. On the left, stillness is aligned with life, health, the divine, gentle winds, basically everything that allows life to flourish naturally. But on the right, motion gets blamed for death, illness, demonic chaos, and raging storms. The text argues that when energy is chaotic, consciousness becomes confused and illness arises. So motion is essentially framed as the universal toxin, and stillness, well, that's the universal cure.
Think of a towering mountain, or, a vast lake with just the gentlest ripples on its surface. In a modern world that is completely filled with endless arguments and noise, this philosophy suggests that stepping back into stillness is the only actual way to cut through the mist. It argues that engaging in endless disputes just creates more confusion. Stillness is the singular mechanism that produces true clarity and wisdom.
Moving on to part 2, the strict prerequisites.
Now, you might be wondering, what's the worst that could happen? It's just sitting still, right? Well, it turns out the source material offers a really stark warning for the unprepared. This is absolutely not a casual drop-in meditation class. The text actively gatekeeps the practice to protect people from profound psychological harm. You have to pass this severe threshold before even attempting the methods, and the requirements are intense. You must have lived in the second home, which is the philosophy-specific communal lifestyle setting, for over 2 years. 2 years. Beyond that, you've got to completely let go of worldly attachments, achieve a state of total mental flexibility, and successfully adopt the unburdened, pure mind of a child. Only then are you supposedly ready for this. Because if you skip those prerequisites, the warning is massive. Forcing this practice is compared to trying to cut water with a knife. It doesn't work, and it actually just creates more turbulent waves. The author warns that attempting this unmoored and unprepared won't bring you peace. It will lead to greater confusion and potentially result in severe mental collapse or permanent delusion. So yeah, a very serious warning not to skip ahead.
Okay, let's jump into part 3, the 8 methods.
For those who actually survive the prerequisites, we get to the actual methodology, which relies on 8 highly specific and sometimes kind of paradoxical rules. It starts with a total hard drive wipe of the mind. You have to forget all past teachings from gods, Buddhas, and texts, even from the author himself. Next, you strip away the ego, abandoning all concepts of honor or disgrace. And finally, you get physical, engaging in an hour of daily Lifechanyuan health exercises, using your breath to store energy in the body's center, the dantian.
Then we get to this brilliantly vivid concept, the book without words. Initiates are told to put down written texts entirely. Instead, you're supposed to observe the chaos of human affairs with complete detachment. The text even drops this highly specific piece of advice for the internet. Use online forums only for amusement and play. Never get dragged into exhausting debates. You simply watch the chaos, exactly like the moon watches the earth, silent, distant, and completely unbothered.
And look at this comparison. There's a strict mandate here to remain totally plain and ordinary. If you walk around acting like some enlightened master, craving bizarre eccentricities, or acting like you carry the burden of some grand mission, you are doing it wrong. In fact, the text claims doing that will literally invite sinister misfortune, peculiar diseases, and extraordinary poverty into your life.
So the rest of these methods echo that profound minimalism. You must cultivate absolute moderation, maintain super regular habits, and completely avoid extremes like anger, greed, or arrogance. You're instructed to just go with the flow of destiny. It's all about blending in so seamlessly with the natural rhythm of life that you leave almost no footprint behind whatsoever.
Which brings us to part 4, stillness within movement. We really need to clarify what stillness actually means here. Because up until now, it kind of sounds like the goal is to retreat into a dark cave and never move a muscle again, right? It's completely natural to assume this requires sitting in a silent room forever. But the source material explicitly warns against that. Xu Feng argues that the divine resides in the stillness of the mind and heart, not in physical paralysis. The profound paradox here is that you can be walking, working, engaging with people, fully participating in the physical world, while the deepest core of your being remains perfectly, utterly silent. The author actually mocks the idea of becoming a lifeless statue, calling it mere desolation. He says it benefits absolutely no one, not you, and certainly not society. True stillness is defined as active mental clarity. It's about mastering your inner storm so completely that you can walk right through the center of a chaotic, noisy city and remain as serene as an untouched lake. And finally, part 5, the ultimate spiritual goal. So, what is all of this intense discipline and strict gatekeeping actually building toward? Well, before hitting the final endpoint, a successful practitioner essentially becomes a spiritual stealth operative. If you achieve anything, you keep it entirely to yourself. You bestow blessings on people without judgment, you quietly dissolve conflicts without leaving a trace, and when the peace is restored, you vanish back into emptiness. You never, ever claim the credit. But the real endgame presented here, it is nothing short of supernatural transcendence. The philosophy insists that this extreme stillness isn't just for peace of mind. It's the only fertile soil where the seeds of a much higher, divine existence can actually take root. By mastering this stillness, you perceive your true nature. And from there, the evolution is exponential. The text promises that the practitioner develops the formless essence of the Tao, attains Buddhahood, and then physically evolves out of human existence entirely into a super-celestial being. I mean, it is an incredible, almost sci-fi escalation from simply sitting quietly with your thoughts to achieving literal godhood. Whether you viewed this text as literal spiritual guidance or just a deeply fascinating psychological metaphor, it leaves us with something profound to ponder. In our modern era, which is louder, faster, and more demanding than ever before, how do these ancient contrasts between motion and stillness reflect our own daily struggles for peace? Is the ability to remain completely untouched by the noise around us the most vital, elusive skill we could possibly cultivate today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.